Good morning, once again, good afternoon or good evening, of course, depending on which part of the world you are connecting from. So it's always a pleasure and a big honor to have you with us. Thus, we warmly welcome you for this 7th session of Innovation Series. I hope everyone can hear me. Please, Zorina, can you confirm if the voice is okay?
Yes, we can
Okay, thank you so much. So for those who are connecting with us for the first time, allow me to remind you that we have interpretation for English and French speakers. So you can click on translation icon below on your screen to select your language. So my name is Emmerance TUYISHIME. I'm the Programs Officer of the Pan-African Farmers Organization, PAFO. So it is a continental platform of farmers organization in Africa, representing dozens of millions of smallholder farmers grouped into 70 national farmers organizations under 5 regional networks of farmers organizations. So allow me to once again convey our appreciation to more than 1,000 participants registered for this session. To you also who were able to connect with us, we are of course still expecting for others. We hope the number will increase. So allow me also to convey our appreciation to our panelists today, and also to our technical and financial partners who are. Can you mute yourself? Thank you. So allow me also to extend our gratitude to our different technical and financial partners for your usual and continuous support. So these sessions of innovations are being organized in the framework of existing partnership between PAFO and COLEACP, and these series are being held online each 2 months. I believe most of us are now familiar with these online sessions. So mostly we focus on innovations across the value chain. So please, ladies and gentlemen, can you please mute yourself unless you have the floor to present? Thank you so much. So I was saying that these series of innovations are being held online each 2 months, and we focus mostly on innovations across the value chain in order to transform our food systems, to promote sustainable agriculture, and to leverage investment. So today we are having our 7th session, which is special in a way that we are celebrating the 1-year anniversary for this initiative of inspiring stories from African businesses and SMEs. So for today's series, we are going to focus on innovation in African agro-processing sector by looking on key role of SMEs and businesses. So before proceeding, I would like to remind you, for those who would like to watch previous series of innovations, you can always access them through our website and YouTube channels of PAFO and COLEACP, of course. And this session today will also be registered. So later, in case you want to go through it once again, you can always access it on our website and YouTube channel. So allow me also to remind you, in case you may have questions or comments for our today's panelists, you can always drop them into the chat box. And it will be good if you can indicate the name of a person your question is addressed to. So at the end of the presentation, we are going to consolidate and summarize all your questions for the panelists to answer. Of course, depending on number of questions, we may not have enough time to answer all of them, but we will try to provide answers to different questions you may raise. So without further ado, allow me to welcome Mrs. Isolina BOTO, the Head of Networks and Alliance at COLEACP, who is going to moderate this session. Mrs. Isolina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Emmerance, and of course PAFO. We are very pleased as well from our side to collaborate on 1 year now of these innovation sessions. Our DG Jeremy KNOPS is with us as well and will speak later in the in the session. Very pleased as well to talk about the food processing part and SMEs and companies in that segment of value addition, which is very, very critical, for employment and to develop the sector, the agri-food sector in Africa. We have a very interesting panel. We have 5 SMEs and companies coming from different places in Africa, different value chains, different markets. Some are local, some are exports, some are both. And we have 2 discussants who will share some perspectives from finance, Oikocredit, and from policy, but also finance and support to entrepreneurs, the European Commission. So we will discuss today a bit the drivers of success of these African SMEs in food processing, what innovations they have done in technologies, knowledge, finance, or others, what obstacles, of course, they face, but more importantly, what support they need to expand, and what incentives we, as collective organizations, can provide to those SMEs, and especially the impact they have on smallholder farmers in value addition and export markets. So without delay, let's start with that interesting part of the people from the field. And thank you again for being with us today. We start with Eric MEDJI, who is the founder of OTHENTIKS in Benin. We start with him because he's a bit within the SMEs, a minority. He's the only man this morning. Thank you very much for joining. OTHENTIKS is a family business. He specializes in the production and marketing of fresh fruits and fruit juices, and also vegetables. It was created in 2013. It has a quality and a branding very, very important for the company, and very exclusive in Benin. We work actually at KOLEACP, my colleagues, very closely and very well with you. You have a background on all the digitalization of enterprises, of SMEs, but of course customer relation management as well, advice to companies, in addition to, of course, managing and creating this SME today. So of course you can speak English or French. We have interpretation, so please, I give you the floor. Thanking you again for being with us. In less than 10 minutes.
Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Thank you very much indeed, Isolina, for giving me the floor. In a few minutes, I'll tell you a few words about OTHENTIKS. OTHENTIKS. How did this company come to light? Well, we figured out in 2012 that the supply in healthy, fresh products in Benin was not sufficient. And we decided that as compared to the beverages that were available on the market, we wanted to offer something different, something exclusive, something unprecedented, bearing in mind the fact that fresh product, natural products are more and more coveted on the market. So in 2012, we decided we wanted to try and meet that need. We didn't embark immediately on this adventure, but between 2013 and 2016, we started a study phases. We carried out research, development, and we decided we had to figure out what products we could supply in the market. After these 3 years of research and development, in 2017, we started marketing 8 natural juices, fresh juices that were slightly different from what could be found on the market. We commonly sold 3 products. We provided another 5 new products, and we straight away saw that these products were attracting consumers, and and thanks to that phases, we could strengthen our market view, examine all hypotheses, and assess the risk of such an adventure. Because, of course, when you start on a modest scale, there is not too many risks, but if you want to reach an economy of scale, that becomes much more risky. And that's why in 2021 we have started a transition phase, a phase that has us head towards our target through the development and the building of a state-of-the-art plant with modern facilities, thanks to which we could meet the market demand. You see here a range of products that we market nowadays, or that we started marketing at the end of 2020. We have here 8 natural juice, an energizer, and a baobab drink. These are 100% natural, without added sugar, without preservatives. These are high quality natural products that are comparable to homemade juice. We have received an HACCP certification because the quality is at the core of our activity, and we go on widening the range in order to provide consumers with new juices on a permanent basis. Did that experience have a positive outcome? Yes, indeed, because we have developed an innovation model that is resting on 3 pillars. We have one pillar that is our relationship with our customers. We want to provide quality products, new products that can catch consumers by surprise. Innovation is at the center of our project, and it has to be uninterrupted. The second element is partnerships we have developed with the different stakeholders. It is important to be able to work with producers who are trustworthy and with whom we can work in the long run. So we turned to cooperatives, individual producers. We might discuss that later on. And the relationships with our producers and with the other third parties require our attention. We have to avoid becoming too dependent on these counterparts, because that might have negative results. The second pillar of our model that enabled us to be fruitful is that we immediately guaranteed the flexibility of our product, and we start very modestly. What could be done on 40 square meters, we decided to do in a 4 square meter perimeter to make sure we didn't run too many risks, and that is how we built our product. Decided we would start on a small scale and move ahead progressively to make sure what we are doing, or what we would do at a larger scale, was still feasible. And we also have to consider the industrial tool. Consumers change their behaviors on a daily basis. The world is evolving very rapidly. Habits are getting modified, and consumers are always asking for novelties. Our industrial tool had to have the capacity to adapt to those changes. And we saw at the beginning that it was a bit difficult to catch up with the evolution and to be able to produce something new from one day to the next one. We have managed to do so, and we can produce 5 natural fresh products in a matter of a few days. And this is what our concern was when we developed our industrial tool. We wanted to be very proactive and be able to meet the needs of consumers very rapidly. The second pillar was the digital transformation element. We all have a digital background, which made our work easier. We had quite a good knowledge of digital tools, digital technologies, and we knew how to use those technologies for the sake of our project. That tool enables us to assess, to evaluate, and to analyze the situation. And the third pillar pillar is obviously women and men, i.e. human resources. These people have to be well trained, and we focused, thanks to KOUYATÉ and other institutions, we have focused on the training of our employees. We have decided we needed to instill a corporate culture, because we have to have human resources who are able to adapt to novelties. And it is also important to have solidarity within our teams. We have to make sure skills are transferred. We have to make up a team that is robust, that works with you, and that helps you meet your quality objective. We do not want to endanger our quality objective. We have a system that guarantees that quality, and our teams have to be able to do so. But this being said, of course, the daily work is not that easy. We have several challenges to face and difficulties. When it comes to inputs, for instance, and packaging, there are a series of substantial issues in some African countries, amongst which Benin. We had problems that had to be solved. It is difficult when you have seasonal fruit to have a permanent supply, so we had to have relationship with producers who could help us try and make that flow rather stable. And the element of cost is also an element that can turn into a problem. Farmers, for instance, grant us a credit that is of a maximum 1 week, where our customers have a credit term that is 90 days. So we might have difficulties managing cash flow in order to be able to get the money we are owed, in order to be able to invest it to pay for our costs and make sure we're growing accordingly. And the last challenge is scaling up. Scaling up is not that easy. If you do not anticipate, it can become problematic. You initially have to make sure you've got pilot projects that anticipate the way you can scale up, what you have to do to be able to grow up, and to make sure that the funds are there to enable you to scaling up. It's not easy at all, but this is something that has got to be anticipated at the very beginning to make sure that you are not faced with obstacles at a later stage. And my last element is our future vision. We have established a circular economic model, and at the core of our system is obviously our processing plant that has to be environmentally friendly. It has to be state-of-the-art, connected. It has to respect nature and be profitable, economically speaking. We have to work on a win-win basis together with our agricultural partners. We have to enjoy a quality first choice raw materials that will give us the possibility to market finished products that are then being sold in Africa, Benin, Senegal, Burkina Faso. In Europe, we also market in Ireland. Very soon we'll start marketing in France, and you see that other markets will be explored later on. We do not have the capacity right now to supply for all these markets. In the current model, more than 99% of waste are reused. We do not dump our waste anywhere. We do not want to have transportation problems, and we have decided that everything should be reused and processed to produce, on the one hand, biogas and power our main facilities through an electric power plant, and the rest is being used as natural fertilizer by farmers and re-enter the economic cycle. And you see that this economic model is circular and enables us to increase the income of our producers who get natural fertilizers. And we also have a social concern that is at the forefront of our concerns. We support schools, for instance. In the past, children had to walk 14 kilometers to go to school. Now they just have to walk 500 to 800 meters and they are at school. So this is our current model, and it is a model that we materialize in our village. And we think that within 5 and 10 years old, we have the objective of having a thriving village, a village that is developing, and we aim at improving the living conditions of the surrounding population. So this is our social model. This is the model we are working on, and this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much for this very interesting presentation on products that guess have become very popular in these COVID and post-COVID times, and you will see how much participants appreciated your presentation through the chat, and there might also be questions. Without further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Elmine KOUYATÉ, who is the founder and director of Axxiom, a company working in a very specialized and interesting niche, i.e. the training, production, processing and sale of mushrooms. She is a multi-awarded entrepreneur, one amongst others the 2003 Francophonie Prize. She also got the 2014 prize Talent of the World, awarded by the West African Economic and Monetary Union, and the Best Startup Africa at the Africa Guaranteeing Fund. She is also, she has been nominated as Green Ambassador for Climate 2020 and selected by the UN Children's Fund, UNICEF, to train Beninese out-of-school young girls and women and train them in mushroom cultivation. And this is something that you will also discover during our sessions on SMEs. They always aim at supporting young people, young girls and women with a very strong environmental priority. Mrs. Elmine, in 10 minutes. Bonjour à tous, je suis vraiment très heureuse avec vous. Je m'adresse à vous dans mon meilleur anglais, mais je vais maintenant passer au français. Good morning to all French-speaking participants. I'm Emmerance from the Ivory Coast. I'm a social entrepreneur in EPAT. I'm developing an organic activity through the off-ground mushroom cultivation. Why mushrooms? Because they are the only vegetable product containing D vitamin, boosting the immune system, protecting against viruses, and is also a healthy product contributing to a good health. I'll tell you a few words about my experience. Axxiom was set up in 2015. We started recycling waste on the basis of circular economic model. In the Ivory Coast, we have lost 90% of our forest coverage in 60 years. Currently, we produce 850,000 tons of food crops, but 30 to 50% of those harvests are being lost. And this is the reason why we have decided we wanted to value our cultivation through zero deforestation activity. Since 2015, we've gained a market share of approximately 3,000 tons of mushrooms, and we import more or less 5,000 tons. And throughout the world, it is currently China which is the main edible mushroom supplier, with 64% of the world consumption and 85% of oyster mushrooms that are the best adapted to our weather conditions. We want to develop our activity in Cameroon, Congo, Zimbabwe, Côte d'Ivoire, Burundi. We would like to make people self-sufficient financially speaking, to improve their nutritional habits and fight starvation, because the African continent has got a rampant starvation problem, and mushrooms could help solve the problem. On my next slide, I would like to tell you a few words about my experience. I finished school, I graduated from the Faculty of Pharmacy at the Montpellier University in food product health safety. I launched a series of partnership activities that failed, and Axxiom has become a synonym for resilience. So why? Because it has resisted through the different steps of its evolution, thanks to the use of ICTs, mailing technologies, QR. We also take into account the feedback of our customers to improve our different ranges of products, dehydrated mushrooms, fresh mushrooms, cosmetics based on mushrooms. And we've managed to develop many activities taking advantage of opportunities provided for the market. We have 15 to 17 million tons of waste to be valued in the Côte d'Ivoire, according to figures from the GIZ. We have worked on the basis of our equity, but through SFI we've managed to get in contact with large buyers in order to limit imports and be able to buy our products from local producers. And Axxiom is therefore become the commercial window display of all mushroom producers in the Côte d'Ivoire. Success factors. First, we started up on our equity, because we know that makes us more resilient as a company. We've also promised our customers to produce our mushrooms with no pesticides and no deforestation. We foster women empowerment. Women can work from home. They can supply supermarkets and send their children to schools. We adapted our cultivations and products to local food habits. We have imagined a dish called choukouya de champignon. We adapted mushrooms to the chet, which is a Senegalese recipe, to ground nut sauce and all products that are customary to our region. We have decided to innovate also. Our model is very easy to transfer and reproduce. It is an off-ground cultivation method based on bamboo structures. We have adopted a new terminology of forest hectare and space volumes. We have stopped destroying forests. We encourage and promote reforestation. And there is a challenge in our innovation. We want to make this Western product into a village food product. Mushrooms are produced in villages, and we want to make them available to urban populations and make them available on the shelves of all supermarkets, fostering the cultivation of that product. And that's my sharing of experience. And here you have got a few pictures of the off-ground cultivation method, a picture of women who are working with us, who've been trained thanks to the support of the World Food Programme in the northern part of Senegal, for instance. And you also have a picture of the mushroom choukouya, which is a type of barbecue. Let's now turn to our roadmap. we are convinced of the potential of our activity, and through a market survey we carried out, we have 120 million inhabitants who need 30 tons of oyster mushrooms. We therefore need to train people, and we have decided to try and train 1,000 people by 2022. We have to raise funds. We have got many failures in our activities because we have to adapt the cultivation to our weather conditions. We also have to explore export markets. We have to produce sufficient volumes in order to be able to export, and we have decided we wanted to do this by 2024, and by 2025 create 2,500 jobs. And this is what I wanted to tell you very quickly. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this very interesting presentation. Let's just have a look at the observations and remarks and that show you how interested people are. We are going to share all presentations as usual, the recording of the session. When it comes to people coordinate, we have to abide by the data sharing regulations. We will put you in touch with the person you want to get in touch with, and this is how we're going to be able to communicate. And we are now going to travel to Senegal to hear about another very interesting experience told by Adama MBAYE, who is working in a village in Senegal. She's the CEO of Baonane, that is a leading producing company of baobab products in Senegal, which promotes ethics and sustainability both in harvesting and partnership. It is thriving to improve living conditions in the poorest regions. And I now give the floor to Adama without further ado. Thank you very much for being here with us, and please, in 7 to 8 minutes, could you tell us a few words about your experience? Good morning to all of you. I'm Mrs. MBAYE from Baonane. I'm working in the KOUYATÉ region in Senegal. I'm producing organic African-based food products made from baobab, bissap, and cereals that are commonly consumed in Senegal and in the rest of Africa. I'll deliver a short presentation of Baonane. Baonane was set up in 2013 because we felt the need to work together with European distribution companies. We came to light in 2013. Baonane is a company that enabled us to draw bridges between Africa and European markets. We are a company that is 100% Senegalese, 100% export oriented. We are specialized in the production, processing of baobab products for companies throughout the world and that are using baobab products, baobab powder, oil, baobab byproducts. We have also products based on organic millet. We have managed to get certification for our products, NOP certified, fair trade certified. That was Baonane in 2013. The products we've launched and the certificates we have been allocated. As I've told you, our market is mainly the world market, the African market, as well as the European, American, and Asian markets on which we export our products. I also mentioned different products that we process, baobab powder and baobab cake or oil. We work with hibiscus flowers and have products based on cereals and more specifically local organic millet. These are our main products. What about the evolution of Baonane? Baonane has got a peculiar experience as it is implanted in a village 30 kilometers away from Kaolack, a village called Durbaka, where we've built our facilities. And we have hired women and young people from the rural areas. We start from the farm. Farmers supply the raw materials. They are supported and trained by our teams, and those are the products that will then be processed in our plants. And those farmers and their women come to the plant to have their raw material processed. And the plant is also looking after the exports towards the different world markets. So this is the specificity of Baonane. We cover all stages from the field to the final customer. And within our plant, we have our own conditioning facilities because some customers want our products to be processed and packaged. And we also process the different raw materials, as I've already said. Our aim is first to improve the producers' living and working conditions, and we want to attract young graduates to the rural areas so that they start taking part in our production activities. Indeed, we have noticed that most companies and commercial activities develop in cities, at least in Senegal. We, on the contrary, wanted the young graduates to come and work in rural areas to build facilities that will give them decent working and living conditions. So we want to give jobs to people from rural areas. We want to modify the cultivation methods. They used to grow groundnuts. That was a very popular product in our region, and we wanted to develop the range of raw materials through the introduction of new harvests. And this is what we've been fighting for since 2013. And I'm very happy to work in that field, and I'm also very happy to have been invited here and tell you a few words about my work, and I'm ready to answer any questions. Thank you very much, Mrs. MBAYE. I think we've gone through all the slides of our presentation, and that ends up in a few photos, pictures. Thank you very much for these few words about a very innovative activity.
So without major delay now, and in the interest, of course, of time and discussions, we give the floor to Kenya, to Jane Maiga, who is the Managing Director of Exotic EPZ. She has started this company with two other women investors, and it has expanded incredibly, despite, of course, being hurt last year by COVID pandemic. So it does macadamia nuts and oil processing. It's based in Nairobi in Kenya. The company is a leader in the sector, has grown very, very significantly, employs a large number of women and young people, which is most of the cases we have today as well, in a very, very specific as well value chain. So please, without delay, Jane, and I think you share your screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Isolina and COLEACP team. Picture this: half a century ago, a small girl growing up in the rural villages in Kenya, Being brought up by smallholder farmer parents struggling to hand to mouth to educate her, she gets her education and finally ends up in her employment journey and secures a job finally in the UN. 6 years later, she resigns, she leaves her employment from the United Nations with a passion to address some of the challenges she saw her own parents facing, and that also face up to this day smallholder farmers. And some of those problems being lack of access to markets and low pricing. That girl is me. I left my UN job in about 4 years ago to establish a company, Exotic EPZ, the one you see on your screen. That is the factory and the offices based in Nairobi, Kenya. I partnered with 2 other ladies and we ventured into the value chain of macadamia nuts. Those are the 3 ladies, myself to your right, and we have Lois in the middle and Charity. And we are holding the product that we export in bulk. So what are we addressing? As I mentioned before, we have hundreds of thousands of smallholder farmers, particularly in the macadamia nuts value chain in Kenya. Many of them are really small and facing challenges of stable, sustainable markets, middlemen exploitation in terms of low prices, in terms of barriers to access to good markets, and in terms of low productivity of their trees, etc. And the other challenge that we notice, of course, is the land degradation that is happening in Kenya and, of course, in different places in sub-Saharan Africa. The third challenge is unemployment. So as I was also looking for jobs, and over time up to this day, we have a huge especially youth unemployment problem. So these are kind of broadly, and again, specifically the areas of challenge or problem that we are solving with Exotic EPZ. On the other hand, we saw an opportunity, a growing demand for macadamia nuts in the world market. The driver really being health benefits. Everybody is really concerned about their health and the increasing demand for macadamia in the cosmetics industry. And this has driven the market to grow in a way that it is now predicted that the compounded annual growth rate for macadamia nuts is going all the way to double digits, 11.7%, some of the research shows, leading to a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's projected to get to $3 billion in terms of value. So sitting in the middle, processing and exporting of macadamia nuts, and on the other hand, we have thousands of smallholder farmers in Kenya, and Kenya is the 3rd largest producer of macadamia nuts. So quite an important industry. So those are the nuts, the kernels, we call them when they're processed. Many of us would know the benefits of macadamia, the fact that it is high fat, but good fats. It is perfect for omega-3, omega-6. It lowers cholesterol. It deals with inflammation and has phytonutrients that are needed. Apart from being the queen of the nuts, it's very yummy. So that's the kind of product we process. We are processing almost 100% for the export market. So we pack in bulk. Coming back to our business model, we are buying from smallholder farmers, 7,000 of them at the moment. 2,000 we are buying directly from them. They're on our database, and increasingly we are recruiting more. 5,000 we buy through a network of 10 agents from diverse counties in Kenya. So we collect these nuts in collection points in the counties and bring them to our factory based in Nairobi, where we process and ship them to international destinations. We are doing 2 containers a month at the moment. Our destinations, our markets are currently in the US, Europe, and we have also been selling to China. In Europe, we are selling to Spain, Netherlands, and we are looking to expand into other countries. So we are also bent, apart from being a profitable company, we are bent towards socio-economic impact. So at the factory, we have created jobs for many. We have 163 people working for us over the last 4 years that we have established the company. 80% of them are women. You can see the women there working in the sorting department. We have about 6 departments. And 75% of our workers are youth. So we are quite excited to be addressing, to be contributing to reducing unemployment in Kenya. So we are also benefiting farmers, though that's very core to us. We are buying from them. The picture you see there is one of our staff buying from one of the lady farmers. And apart from that, we are supporting them in building their capacity to produce better nuts from their trees and to expand their orchards in terms of access to seedlings and other services we provide the farmers. We also are bent towards environmental impact. So we are very pleased to be involved with trees, and we are really out to promote the planting of these trees that commercially benefit the communities, but also contribute to greening the environment and just sequestrating carbon. Apart from the trees, we have a program where we are improving our energy efficiency. So we recently, this year, actually put up a solar generating unit. You can see our rooftops there. It's not very big, but it's contributing to 20% reduction of our costs, but also leaving a carbon footprint. And in this, we are tracking actually how much carbon we are reducing. To your right, you can see the type of invoices actually we get from those that are providing us with a lease for the equipment. So they give us a structured invoice that shows us how much carbon we're reducing every month, how much energy is being consumed, and how much costs we are saving. So this is very interesting for us. How are we planning to grow? So we have been running this company for the last 4 years, and we have seen tremendous growth, rising from 0 farmers, because we started with no farmers, to now 2,000 direct and 5,000 indirectly. And also the revenues are rising. Our markets have grown significantly, but we are looking to grow. So we are looking to expand our buyer universe to other countries. Germany, actually, we just secured some customers in Germany. We are looking to get into Spain and to get deeper. Already Spain, we're there. So we are looking to get into Japan, into Canada, China, Belgium, and other countries. And of course, coming back to Kenya, I'll talk about it. We want to sell locally here our products. Another area of growth is with our farmers, and linked to that is land restoration. So we are very interested in expanding our reach to farmers to 10,000 and above, and also helping them plant more trees. So we have a program where we'll plant 187,000 trees, macadamia trees with the farmers, so that we secure our future supply. So in terms of products, we shall get into diversification. We have already started the product development process and are already in the certification process for the same. So we'll be introducing a variety of yummy roasted and flavored macadamia nuts, primarily starting from our domestic market here. We are also looking for organic certification from next year. And also we will be producing oils, macadamia oils and other oils. In doing this, we are looking to expand our processing capacity, build our own factory, and set up our own demonstration farm so that we can continue to train the farmers on how to grow the right varieties of trees. We work in partnerships. We recognize that we cannot be successful without partnerships, and I've just put up a few that are financing us and that are also strategic in terms of technical resource and technical capacity in our journey towards creating this impact. I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jane. Very, very inspiring, really. So we go now to the next.
Without further ado, I would like to give the floor to the last speaker for these SME and company sessions, so that we have a bit of time for questions. Euphrasie DASSOUNDO is the founder and director general of Agro Express in Benin. It is an agri-food processing company established in 2013, and in order to fight post-harvest losses, they have started producing preserves. They've also been awarded several prizes, a game changer, women in agriculture, getting the ring Cotonou, and you have a background in marketing and international trade. You have undergone numerous training courses, notably thanks to her distinctions such as the Tony Elemu Foundations. You have now started working to try and reintegrate young disadvantaged people. I would invite you to tell us about your experience in a few minutes. I think that you you will display your presentation. Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. My name is Euphrasie DASSOUNDO. I'm in charge of the company called Agro Express, which is an agri-feed processing company that came to light in 2013. We had observed that in Benin, year in, year out, between July and autumn, we have post-harvest losses in the tomato production. Tomatoes are being wasted and ripen on the field without being neither sold nor processed. And this is the reason why I decided to set up the company Agro Express with the objective to alleviate the burden of our farmers, reduce their debt, and make tomatoes accessible to Benin households as well as to the regional markets that are suffering during the hunger gap that lasts from February to June every year. We are based in KOMACLO in Benin. We have hired 16 people, mainly women, and we have planned to hire another 6 people in the next couple of years. The people we hire are mainly people coming from rural areas, young people and women who work hard on a daily basis to guarantee the quality of Agro Express products. At the beginning, we started working with small farmers active in little villages, and we would go and gather raw materials. But since then, we have created a producer cluster in tomato production with a series of specifications applied to the inputs. When it comes to those small farmers, we've managed to conclude contracts with them, and we buy the whole of their tomato production. And the post-harvest losses problem is not a problem any longer for those, because we have committed ourselves to buy the whole of their production, which means that we'll have an impact on the lives of more producers. We will solve the problem of post-harvest losses and the problem of debt amongst producers, because producers very often but in order to do so they need to get credits. They turn to decentralized funding services, and when they have post-harvest losses, they can't afford repaying the debt they have with these financial services. And I think that the work of my company helps feed those countries, those people, and solve the problem these families are faced with. You see on the next pictures the tomatoes being cleaned, and on the right hand side we have commercial agents promoting our activity in Cotonou on the occasion of an initiative that we have organized. So here are the products that we are marketing. We've got tomato paste, we've got garlic paste, spice spice mixtures, marinade, seasoned chilies, or ginger. These products are 100% natural, without dyes or preservatives. They enable women to come back home after work, and in no time the meal is ready. In Benin, post-harvest losses are a genuine problem. So we do not have a proper water management, and consequently, during the rainy season, most producers grow their tomatoes and end up on a market where supply exceeds the demand. Consequently, costs or prices plummet on the market. At the beginning, the company managed to process 120 kilos of fresh tomatoes a day. It was actually only me working from production to marketing, as I have a background in marketing and trade negotiation. So I would do it all at once, but little by little the company grew, and we managed to produce half a ton a day. This company has therefore grown progressively and has let a market enough time to develop. Besides the local market made up of small retailers and supermarkets, we sell our products in Burkina Faso, Togo, Niger, Côte d'Ivoire, and recently we've also concluded a sales contract with French Guiana, where we also export our products. We are also very active on social networks. You see here that if you type Agro Express, we are on Facebook, on TikTok, as you can see at the bottom of the page. We are also present on the Instagram under the name of Express. As I've said earlier on, we have set up an agricultural cluster that has managed to organize farmers and solve the problem of post-harvest losses. This cluster initiative gave us access to the Game Changer in Agriculture award allocated by the GIZ, the German International Cooperation Agency. And our objective in the next couple of years is to produce tomato paste and spice mixes and package them in aluminium containers in order to make them affordable to households, and in order to enable families to keep those products once they've been opened, because in Benin the majority of households do not have a refrigerator in which to keep their products. So this is what I wanted to say. Thank you very much. I'm not sure I said it all. Yes, you said it all, but we didn't see the last slides with the pictures of your products. So if you scroll down the slides, we can see them all. We heard you very well from beginning to end, but we didn't see the photos. And if it is not possible, it seems to be stuck on the first slide, but Axel might display them later on. So I guess they scroll down on your screen, but not on ours, unfortunately. If you don't manage to do so, we'll show the pictures during the debate. We'll share that document later on. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. It is also a very impressive initiative. All these experiences are very interesting indeed. And you see that in the audience, some people have already tasted your products and do recommend tasting them. So I urge you to go and have a look at the chat, the questions, the remarks, because some people have made observations on your products that are very much appreciated. So we come to the end of this very interesting part that was dedicated to the presentations of our entrepreneurs, men and women. We are now going to listen to Oikocredit and the European Commission before we have a debate and a few questions. And without further ado, I think Yves KOMACLO is with us. Yves KOMACLO, thank you very much for being here with you. Oikocredit is a very important company because at one point, any company, whatever their size, has got funding problems. You're welcome. You've heard our entrepreneurs, and I would like to know what your opinion is about what you heard. You are based in at the Côte d'Ivoire. You are the regional manager of Oikocredit, and I would like to know what you have on offer for those entrepreneurs that are not very large companies, but are not either microcredits, but have been forgotten by the financial institutions. You have got a diversified development portfolio of 80 plus agriculture, renewable energy and inclusive finance projects across the economic community of West Africa states region. Prior to joining Oikocredit in 2009, you were the division chief audit at UBA Bank in Benin, marketing manager at Tico International London. You also were the director of IT operations for the Nigerian National Sport Lottery. You worked for major management consulting firms, and so you are very welcome, and we do hope that Oikocredit and others might offer their support to those entrepreneurs in order for them to grow, because they've all started working on their own alone without any support. Thank you very much. I would like to ask Axel to share the screen, and as my but I would like to say that the entrepreneurs' presentations are a great source of inspiration. My presentation was prepared in English, so I will go on in English.
Next slide, please. Yes, so I represent Oikocredit. We are an impact investor with our head office in the Netherlands. And our main mandate is obviously to target financial return, but we also target social impact, which is the reason why I'm here today speaking with you on improving access to finance for agri-processing SMEs and more specifically smallholder farmers. The way we translate our mission is to provide access to provide funding to agri-processing SMEs, because in doing so, and you may have noticed that in the previous presentation, in improving operations for agri-processors, we create a market for smallholder farmers. So that's really the way we translate our mission into action. And as you can see from the graph, Africa represents about 20% of the portfolio, which is about 900 million euros. Yeah, next slide, please. I need to insist on the fact that Oikocredit is not acting alone. We are a number of impact investors that are interested in supporting agricultural finance, particularly in Africa. So I'm listing here all what we call all our colleagues, our friendly competitors. So as Jane was mentioning in her presentation, I think that she's already working with some of our colleagues, Root Capital and Rabo. So yeah, so it's important for the entrepreneurs to know that they can, by working with one of us, they can invite others, particularly in situations where we want to share the risk, or where we are dealing with, for example, a country where we don't operate. We are always in contact with each other to provide solutions to entrepreneurs across continent, but particularly here in Africa. Because we are well cognizant of the challenges, next slide please, of the challenges that are faced by not only by the agri-processor entrepreneurs, but also the challenges faced by the cooperatives that they work with. An important thing for us is to improve the relationship between the smallholder farmers and the entrepreneurs or the processors, as you can see on our capacity building intervention. I'm not going through to go through the full slide, but I think that most of you will recognize some of those challenges, particularly as they deal with the producers, the smallholders, and also at the SME level. There's sometimes as the SME needs to scale up, they need to bring in more, I would say, stronger management, or a deeper. They need to deepen the bench, the managerial bench of the company. So, for example, we have many companies where the entrepreneur is quite strong in marketing and finance, but they then need someone more on the operational, on the industrial side. Or as the company grows, it needs to bring in, to develop an internal audit function, and also build more knowledge of international finance or international trade as they move to export markets. So these are the kind of interventions that Oikocredit and others can provide to those SMEs. And I'm sure that many of the entrepreneurs have worked with organizations such as USAID, GIZ, and other international NGOs. And we intervene through, not just through technical assistance. The abbreviation, the word CB is capacity building. So it's another word for technical assistance. The other option is obviously our main work is financial instruments. So we can intervene in the form of equity. So we invest in the capital of the SME, or we intervene in the form of debt. So it could be a straight debt, like most banks would do, or it could be a credit line to support the seasonal needs of SMEs. So typically there will be significant needs in working capital for those SMEs, and we are here to support those needs, to facilitate access to both local currency and also hard currency needs. So this is basically a presentation of what we can do, and how we do this is the object of my next slide, please. So I will jump quickly from this one. This is just a slide to show the context in terms of significant potential as well as significant need for agri-investment. I'm just putting into perspective the type of the fact that we have in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, we have quite low yields. So there's those low yields are very much related to the fact that we are investing, or our producers are investing very low amounts in their land, and in terms of fertilizer, in terms of mechanization. So there's a substantial need for investments in agriculture in sub-Saharan Africa. So we feel that there's a need for organizations like ourselves to partner with the SMEs as we are moving towards increased mechanization, increased protection of soil, particularly when we have challenges with land access, land security, and access to water in particular. So we think that it's also very important for Africans to realize that the best way for them to secure retirements is by investing in agriculture. And also for decision makers to we think that investment in agriculture is the best way to reduce poverty. I will try to accelerate. Next slide, please. Yeah. So I'm going into more details, but I will try to be short. There are different ways of supporting SMEs and cooperatives in agriculture. There's on the left-hand side, you have trade finance. Trade finance is a way to finance either, it's a way to finance the marketing aspect of a SME, so that we provide funding in the form of credit line to an organization that will help increase their marketing capacity and help moving to export market, for example. There's also input finance, which is the funding of pesticide, fertilizers, spraying equipment, etc., to support the actual production of those commodities. Then there are some important needs particularly for SMEs, and which is everything relating to light assets, so logistics, significant needs to invest in warehouses, in processing equipment, in a fleet to go up country and farm gate level and collect those raw materials that they really need to be able to operate their companies. I will jump to the next slide. I'm not going too much into the details. Let's also jump this one. Yeah, I just wanted to stop here, and that would be my last slide. I just wanted to make the case for those who are around for the audience, particularly for those who are not entrepreneurs, that we need to work together and in supporting our agri-processing colleagues and entrepreneurs by investing in, I would say, connect sectors, including the renewable energy sector. We feel that investing in renewable energy instruments and tools will really support our efforts to modernize agriculture, not just at production level, but also at primary processing. An example of that is providing solar pumps, providing solar refrigerators is a great way of reducing post-harvest losses. And it's very important for us to support our partners at farm level. And I think that improvement of yields, improvement of farm profitability will directly impact and positively impact the SMEs as they move into, as they intend to scale up. So that will have a direct effect on those operations. Another important subsector that we need to support is the financial inclusion, the microfinance in particular. We feel that investing in microfinance will improve their support to the farmers and will reduce the working capital needs of SMEs, because today the SMEs have to invest a lot in purchasing and in supporting the farmers to which they are in partnership with. I will invite colleagues to take more time then to read the presentation, and I'm cognizant of time, so I will give back the floor to Isolina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. KOMACLO. Very, very appreciated. I'm sure many participants will contact you. We at COLEACP and PAFO are also very keen to collaborate with partners. Some of them we already do, and new ones in supporting SMEs in whatever part of the value chain. So now Willi SCHULZ-GREVE from the European Commission, from the head of unit at DG Agriculture, European Commission, specifically dealing as well with Africa, Caribbean, Pacific, African Union, African entrepreneurs. You have joined the Commission several years ago, working on different parts, on the rural development, working on economic analysis, risk management tools, biofuels, etc. You are today in charge of a wide sector, from arable crops, sugar, fiber plants, animal feed, agriculture at large, and very, very close relation as well with Africa, with the Africa continent at the policy level, at research level, and of course supporting entrepreneurs. So Willi, what inspire you of what you have been hearing this morning from the entrepreneurs, and how the Commission, well, we know ourselves, the Commission still being the first, aid assistance provider in the world, or the first donor, actually, including to the entrepreneurs. We know ourselves how much it counts, but if you can share any more insights on your work on supporting entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isolina, for having me at this distinguished panel, and in having invited me to comment on what we have heard in the session before. So my first thank to Eric, Elmine, Adama, Jane, and Euphrasie for their excellent presentations of the work they do on the ground. This was really enlightening for me to get some reports on what is possible and how you, with your individual companies and projects, contribute to what we are discussing in the political level, at the very abstract political level, most recently at the UN Food Systems Summit, where we looked at food systems and the 3 dimensions of sustainability to which all your projects perfectly contribute. Environment, we heard about biodiversity, climate impact, soil fertility, land restoration in many of your examples. We heard about social dimension, the employment for women and youth, training for smallholder and poverty alleviation and rural communities. And we heard about the impact of your projects on the economic situation in rural areas, on the livelihood of the farmers and the food industry, processing industry, which is connected. This Food System Summit is one of the actions at the political level where we try to promote the ideas of a value chain approach, of an even wider food system approach, and try to encourage also the governments in the Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific, as well as in other countries, to move forward on that and to set the right framework so that investments can be done in projects like yours, and the projects can develop to contribute to local development, regional integration, and also for trade and export opportunities for the products you are producing. We work a lot in Europe to implement that, but we also need to work with international partners on green partnerships and in our programs where we provide money for international cooperation. But specifically in agriculture, let me just recall that we are also working at the political level to bring forward the discussions on value chains, on local production, on sustainable production. And the latest opportunity was our ministerial conference between African Union and European Union ministers this year in a virtual format, which took stock about what we have achieved so far in the different areas of cooperation. And that is exactly in investment in agri-food. So where can we use regional markets? Where can we enhance competition? By just an example, we worked on building an agribusiness platform in Ghana with our delegation, where we tried to bring together farmers associations, European industry and local industry from Ghana, food processing industry, as well as the traders, in a kind of dialogue forum to improve the conditions for investment in agribusiness with the Ghana government, but also with the EU support programs available. A second area we looked at is research and innovation, and there soil health is a big issue for us, but also for you, as I've learned. We look at the UN level at agroecology, or at what kind of innovations can we promote to help exactly smallholders and the value chain integration. We looked at digital solutions and how we can use that for rural communities, but also for enterprises. Some of you have referred to that. And we looked at regional trade, in particular the movement or the development for an African continental free trade area, but also the importance of regional trade, West Africa, for instance, or other regions in Africa, where a lot of potential is still there. And I heard from some of your examples that is also an interesting market for some of your companies to go ahead. Let me come to the support programs we can offer from Europe in our cooperation. which all integrate the political objectives I have tried to line out, which are set by the UN Food System Summit, by the European Green Deal, by our intention also to encourage digital transformation. And this is done in particular in cooperation with Africa in our development programs, for which the new generation of programs is currently under development. We are just about to finalize national programs for multi-annual perspective. And in many of them, the agri-food sector is visible, has an important role, and exactly under the angle of food systems and the contribution to a green transformation and a digital transformation. So there, your partner would be the EU delegation in your country to look at what is available, what programs are offered, and we work a lot. And thank you, Yves, for spelling out what you do with financial institutions to set up bigger scale programs where European money can contribute to the programs of the financial institutions, as long as they are in line with what we want to achieve. A second element which will come and is particular addressing Africa is a new investment initiative we are preparing, and there also the agri-food sector will be visible with a prominent role. This is also under preparation, and this will be disclosed. We hope we will be ready for the African Union, European Union Summit, which will be held in February next year. So by then we will know more details on that. And again, here as well, we will work with the financial institutions to exactly address investment, and not only big scale investment, but also investment which benefits and is accessible to smallholders in the more difficult environment, which we are well aware of smallholder farms, of African conditions for the economy, and with the objective to support sustainable development as a whole. To identify our priorities, we have developed a tool of value chain analysis, which is accessible online and which helps us a lot to understand what are the where we can go for feasible investment. This is also linked to what we do on food systems analysis in several countries, together with colleagues from FAO, where we try to understand what are the political framework conditions for food system transformation in your individual countries. And a last word on research, because we have a large program currently running, which will continue, which is looking at partnership on food and nutrition security and sustainable agriculture, where we are financing research and innovation activities, which are open also to partners from Africa to participate, and which are addressing, in this case, the particular needs of African farmers to improve value addition and income opportunities. And a specific program is run also on called Desira, Development of Smart Innovation through Research in Agriculture, which is on top of our general research activities. I will stop here, Isolina. Happy to reply to any questions which come up from participants. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much to you, Willi, for sharing all this very important information. KOLEACP is involved in a number of those initiatives, but you have pointed out some to come, which we will love, of course, to connect for the new investment initiative and anything supporting the private sector, and in particular, as you say very well, the SMEs and others who have a direct impact on smallholder farmers. So thank you very much, and we will share all this information in addition to the recording with the participants. So now, Emmerance, I saw online many questions already. Some have been answered by some of the speakers directly, addressed to them. Others are more general. Can you give us a bit of feedback there?
Thank you so much, Isolina. Yes, indeed, the discussion are extremely interesting in the question and answer chat. So we have seen that some questions were already responded, and we have seen a very good feedback from the audience for both our panelists and also the organizers. Of course, it is PAFO and COLEACP, so we got warm congratulations. So for maybe the general question that I have captured is that I have seen most of our participants were curious to know on which process that SMEs are using to get certification for their product, and also whether there are challenges that they are meeting, whether there are any kind of support that they have been receiving to facilitate them to have the certification, either from government or from partners. So another general question I have seen is on how businesses ensures the quality standard of their products. Another question I may mention is that I have seen they have asked whether business presented today have signed some agreement with producers to ensure the regular supply of raw material that they may need, whether there are any challenges they are having in signing those kind of agreement with producers, or what are the advantages they are finding in those kind of agreements. So very briefly, those are the general questions I have seen, but other specific questions has really been addressed. Thanks, and over.
Thank you very much. What we can do is to get some of the feedback and perhaps additional comments before Jeremy gives his own perspective to this part. You had, Eric, you had some additional ones. I don't know if you have answered them. If not, of course, you have highlighted the quality, which is one of the top and goes with certification and others. Do you have any additional thing to share in addition of what you said before for those who, of course, are struggling and don't get help but have to do a lot themselves? Do you have anything more to share?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Yes, I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, quality is not something that is easy and it has a cost. So mainly we have, we say that we have a chance because we have, let's say, an American organization and Belgian organization which are located in Benin, and they provide us technical assistance to allow us to, let's say, move forward with quality. For example, for our products, when we're in the, I would say, transition period, I would say research and development period, let's say we did some tests, some internal tests, some stability tests, some aging tests for 3, 6, 12, and 18 months to be sure that the product would be, let's say, would stay stable for a long time, because we need to sell on the local market, on the regional market, and also for export. So there are some, I would say, organizations that can provide assistance. They can support you for the first years in taking them in charge, I would say 80% of the cost of the, let's say, certification. For example, we did HCCP certification last year with PFD, Partners of Development. They take 90% of the cost, but this is for the first year. So once this is done, you should put in place all that is required to be able to, for the next years, to be able to do it yourself. So it's a kind of preparation. It's a lot of work, of course, but it's possible to do, let's say, such things. But also people is very important. You need to have people with the good knowledge, level of knowledge, that can learn, that can work. And I know that is not easy, because for us, it took for me 5 years to, let's say, bring people to the level I want before growing up. Because most of the time when you grow up before, let's say, checking these questions, I will taking into account those questions, it's become very, very difficult. So 4 years, you have to be patient, because it's not easy. There is a context, you need to do with the context. And finally, it's something possible if you are patient and found, I would say, the right partners for that.
Yes, thank you very much, and also for working with KOLEACP, which it will be said later. But we do support all these parts, but we do recognize it's a long process, and we have
Yes,
seen
it's a
this
long,
morning
it's
some
a
of
long
the
program.
of the entrepreneurs who have failed and restart. So you shouldn't stop, and that's the lesson we can learn today. You have to be absolutely resilient. There was a question on waste in energy, but perhaps you have answered it already, or in
Yes, I
Benin.
answer it. Yeah,
Yes, if you can just repeat quickly, because some
yes,
people
I
on their
can
phone.
quickly. Actually, recycling is not something that is, let's say, common. It's
Yeah.
just starting. We have, let's say, few experience.
Yeah.
But in our case, and I think that for, let's say, manufacturing industry, it's complicated today because most of manufacturing, they build a project without, let's say, taking this, I would say, this problem into account. So our case, before starting, as I said, we dream the project big and with all that we can do. And let's say recycling, let's say waste is something we have taken into account at the beginning. So, in the target, I would say manufacturer, more than, I would say 85% of, let's say, organic waste can be recycled. So that's allow us to be, let's say, autonomous in terms of energy. So that's something that is good. And we also, let's say, it also provide what is needed for fertilization, for example. And if you have sub projects in, I would say, small cities, in some villages where, let's say, there is a possibility to implement a kind of manufacturing, it is very interesting because sometimes energy that is provided cannot be used by the, let's say, by the manufacturer itself. So it can be distributed. So just to, let's say, to have light in roads, to have, to provide energy to, I would say, to local population. So it's something that's, let's say, that is, for me, it's important when we are thinking for about building manufacturing, because today, because if you don't that means that we need to find a way to where we will put the waste, who will, let's say, transport it, etc. So it will generate, let's say, new problems for the environment.
Yes, thank you very much. We have been having many experiences on waste, use, etc., and it's critical, of course. And Willi has pointed out all the Green Deal and all the, sustainability highlighted, even recently in major conferences.
When you are growing, you are a big company, that means you are generating a lot of waste.
Of course, of course. That's one area where KOLEACP is looking also very, very carefully.
Elmine, beside what you've heard, some questions were directed at you. They had to do with health quality. We have to make sure that products are not contaminated and not a danger for consumers. And there is another critical aspect for SMEs. It is packaging. Packaging is complex. They are expensive. They very often have to be imported. So do you have anything to add on those or on other issues that you might not have dealt with? Thank you very much indeed. I would like to call upon the European Commission. I wanted to call upon KOUYATÉ. I heard about KOUYATÉ when I was a child at school, and I never knew I would be, I never suspected I would be in front of you, and I'm very happy to be here. I call upon all these institutions because I've done it all alone. I was absolutely convinced in what I was doing, but nowadays I need help, otherwise I'll have to spend years trying to reach my objective. So how can you help me export? How can you help me improve production? Funding is an issue, but if there is no market, funding is useless. We are missing a market, and I therefore need a support on the whole of the value chain. I made a commitment, and if this project has to be beneficial to Africa, if I am to try and replace China and export 64% of the production, or if I want to supply 64% of the product, I would need your help. Could you please help me at all levels of the value chain, from circular economy to the consumer's plate? We have 15 million people suffering hunger in Africa, and FAO tell us that mushrooms and caterpillars are novel food that are a promising future. So please help me replace China. Please help me feed Africa and feed other continents. We have diabetes. 1 out of 6 adults suffer diabetes. What do? We are committed. Please come and see me. I need you. I've never asked anything, but today I need support. My small farmers and producers need your support. These young women we are training do need your help. I wouldn't want after this session to have to go to the European Commission or Oikocredit. I would like you to come and see me. I would also like to have a seat at the African Union and the European Union to convey the voice of all small farmers in Africa. Let's close our eyes and imagine that we go to the market one day and all stores are closed. There is no onions, no mushrooms, no tomatoes. There is nothing on your plate. We have got a modest task, but that task is vital. So you have to support us. You have to enable me to materialize my objective, so that at the next KOUYATÉ PAFO session we say, well, this is the objective that Hermine has met. If you do not do so, I'll complain. I don't know, we've heard you, the proof being that we've invited you. So we keep in touch, obviously. We didn't say it all, but the European Commission organizes many events in which a multitude of entrepreneurs are invited and their role is highlighted, just as we do so in our modest sessions. Adama and Euphrasie, would you like to take the floor? And we'll then give the floor to Jeremy. Adama, you listened very silently. Do you have anything to add to what has been said, besides the question of what you have already answered? Would you like to add something important that hasn't been mentioned as yet, but you need to switch on your microphone? Unfortunately, there is background noise. We might give the floor to Euphrasie until you've solved the problem. I'm afraid the microphone is off, so I would suggest you try and solve the problem, and in the meanwhile we give the floor to Mrs. Euphrasie. There were questions on small farmers. You insisted a lot on their role. You also talked about quality. Would you like to add anything to what has been said? Well, listening to all what has been said, I think Elmine said it all. It is true that we need a support to make our model replicable and profitable. We need a market. If there is no market, companies disappear, and when companies close their doors, thousands of employments and jobs are lost. All what we've done is to no avail. So I support what Hermine said. What she said is true. It is our reality. We would like to go one step forward. We started modestly, and step after step we try to make our dreams come true, but we do need your support in order to grow all together, and we have to establish links to the market. It is something KOUYATÉ and PAFO are working on too. Adama, do you have the floor? Did you solve the problem? I also would like to support what my colleagues said before me. We started building our house brick after brick, and our companies came to light, but we would like to be supported to gain access to markets, as the previous speaker said, and we would like to enjoy a better visibility. We would like our activities to be more visible. I'm talking about my experience. We are active in rural areas and we have to fight poverty. We have to thrive to give jobs to women, to young people, so that young graduates stay in rural areas rather than move to cities. And we need support in order to do so and in order to make sure that our project survives. This is my last remarks. And I do hope that this meeting will bear its fruit, will be profitable for SMEs that are active in rural areas. We would like you to help us value the small farmers' production. We would also like to foster organic production. That is what I've been doing in the KOUYATÉ region, and we would like to value our products and foster exports. But this is not enough. We need your help. We need your support if you want to gain access to other international markets. And thank you very much for your invitation. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you all for having shared your experience with us. Now I'll give the floor to Jeremy. Jeremy is working with entrepreneurs associations. He has provided support, a support that is vital to entrepreneurs, as has been mentioned in the morning. And you've been listening to all what was said. So what can you tell us now? Thank you very much indeed, Isolina. And again, good morning to all of you. If you allow me, I'd like to first thank all the members of the panels, the entrepreneurs, SMEs, representatives, Mr. Willi for the European Commission, and the representative of Oikocredit. Thank you very much for dedicating time to these sessions. The first session was launched a year ago together with PAFO, and I'll come back on this at the end of my intervention to try to explain you how these sessions have evolved. Now bear with me, I'm thinking out loud here, and obviously one can't remain deaf to the calls that have been launched. Just as for the other sessions, the topic that has been chosen and are at the core of the work that we carry out within KOUYATÉ, but that we do it also in other associations, and we can do so thanks to international donors. In our case, the European Union, the ACP organization, who trusts us, and that enables us to support entrepreneurs at all levels of the supply chain. We try and help them gain access to the markets. Historically speaking, when talking about market access, several elements can be touched upon, at least as far as we are concerned, and through the different programs that we have developed within KOUYATÉ. The basis of our actions targeted the compliance of one's activities to regulatory standards or certification provisions. So out of a theoretical coverage of 79 ACP countries throughout the world, we have been trying to support a maximum number of operators, mainly from the fruit and vegetable industry. We help them comply with the regulatory framework on the market. This is the technical facet of our activity, and I'll come back on the trade development later on. So this technical dimension of market access requires actions at different levels. Of course, this has been mentioned in several presentations and testimonies. I would think that the common denominator on which we focused our activities were to a great deal people, human resources within companies, cooperatives, but also within the overall environment. This is what we're trying to do. This is what we have been trying to do for 20 years or more in the fruit and vegetable industries. We have established direct links with companies, some of which being present here, and also with competent authorities, and the existing schemes are very important if you wanted to have an activity that is in conformity with the framework, and that is what we focused on in our work. And little by little we discovered that the variety of supports widened, the types of market diversified, the number of steps within the value chain have increased. And at the beginning we really focused on exporting fresh ACP products to the European markets, whereas nowadays, when it comes to our activity, we focus on the technical assistance for the marketing of fresh fruit and vegetables that have been processed on all types of markets. And we're working with existing companies, or we help them starting up. We try to help define them the market they want to target. The concept of processing is obviously more and more present within the different activities. Why is that so? Well, because we are more and more asked to help understand the functioning through the programs that are launched by the European Union ACP organization. So you have to send us a request, and in the chat we'll mention the address, and on the basis of that request we'll develop an action plan with different steps with commitments from our side. We bring expertise, and the company has got to commit to use this expertise and implement it. And this brings me to the access to funds, because in the processing activity, obviously, the access to fund is important, be it in the initial phase or later on. Funding is of great importance, especially for the processing activities, because you have to invest in machinery, and those investments are more important in size. And well, in the agri-business sector, there is a problem when it comes to the access to funds. There is something that is at stake for SMEs in the agribusiness on the African continent. And what is at stake here is the risk management activity that is linked to the access to funds. So you see that there has to be a balance between the risk-taking and the access to funds. And thanks to a clearer vision, the problems might be solved, at least partially. One of the points I wanted to come back on when talking about the evolution in our support, the multiplication of markets and of actors, is the importance of strengthening the links between actors. We have the supply of raw materials, processing units, SMEs, then we have the marketing step, the sales towards distributors, or whatever the distribution market. And these are steps that we focus more and more because we want to make sure the activity is sustainable. And sustainability is based on 3 pillars. The economic pillar, which is the most important, because without financial support, the actions that you can carry out in the framework of the other 2 pillars might be more difficult, even though the social and environmental pillars are going hand in hand with that financial or economic pillar. And there is to be a fair distribution of assets on that level. So that's a question. And there is a question of trade practices and need for fair trade practices. The European Union has decided to concentrate its attention on that matter within SMEs with third countries, and it is something that is underlying the establishment of partnerships, and this holds true for the partnership with PAFO. We are a COLEACP network, a network of SMEs that were more centered on export rather than on other activities. PAFO is representing the farmers' world, and we want to draw bridges. We want to strengthen the links between those different worlds. That was indeed what we are trying to do. I'll try and be brief, but I'd like to insist on the trade development. And I do insist, and we'll come back to you after the session, Mrs. KOUYATÉ and the different panel members. Something that is complex and that is linked to the trade development is that we can support you, but only to a certain point. Our role is to pave the way for the conditions that will enable you to establish contacts with your partners. And you could consider this as a route. We can walk that route alongside you and with you for a certain number of miles, but the last mile you have to go it alone, because that's about the future of your company. The last mile is the one that you have to walk alone. You have to decide what type of trade partnerships you want to conclude. So we intervene in training, the definition of a trade plan, the way to get prepared to participate in a fair, in a commercial exhibition, and we hope we will be able to consolidate our capacity to establish links between the different actors of our programs, through our programs, with our partners, establish links and consolidate links, and very naturally through those links open up new trade opportunities. Time is important. We have to adopt a long-term vision. When talking about human resources, everything takes time. We have to consider things at a 5, 10, 30-year term. We cannot work on in our fields. For instance, agriculture has got a very different time dimension than other sectors. We are in a completely different world here, and this will be my conclusion. So we have one challenge, which is the relationship to time, that makes our action urgent at social and economic and environmental levels, bearing in mind the fact that there is no one-size-fits-all solution. We have to put forward custom-made proposals and solutions. Of course, some problems can be solved through generic to overall solutions, but when considering the local level, the specificities of the African markets, the African regions, and I'm only talking about Africa, but it holds true for the rest of the world too, we have limited means to face a whole range of different situations. And I'm now going to give the floor to Fatma, but before I do so, on behalf of the whole COLEACP team, on behalf of the network, I would like to thank you very much indeed. You are taking part in your last session with us, and without you, this initiative wouldn't have come to light. And I must admit that the team that you have made up with Isolina was exceptional, as well as the collaboration you established with the COLEACP members. Thank you very much to Fatma. Thank you to Elizabeth, who is not with us today, who was the PAFO president. Thank you very much indeed for your trust, for having concluded this partnership. Obviously, this partnership will go on with the support of the European Union, the SCP organization. I give you the floor now. Thanks a million, Jeremy. It is not only the last innovation session that I take part in. After 25 years of working with POs, I put an end to this career to embark onto other adventures. It was indeed a challenge. And I do remember the first session we organized. It was on the 19th of November 2020. It was a huge challenge, but it wasn't a beginning. It was just a continuation of what had been done before. I've known Isolina for more than 10 years, which doesn't make us feel young, but I'm used to saying that we are an excellent duet. And what I very much appreciate with CTA in the past and with COLEACP now, and it is much stronger with COLEACP, we fully understand the needs, and we do meet the needs of African organizations, farmer organizations. We do not come and impose our will as partners, and this is very important. The work we've done together was extraordinary. I would like to tell Elmine and the other panelists that these innovation series that started a year ago were at first a challenge because on the first session 400 people registered. We thought, well, maybe is it due to the fact that it is the first one? Maybe should we promote the event and see what happens next? And during the COVID pandemic, all those who organized webinars have noticed that week after week, month after month, the interest weakened. But we were extremely surprised when we started seeing the number of participants increasing, the number of requests increasing, the number of messages multiplying. And people were checking the PAFO webpage, were checking the COLEACP webpage to see the session, to listen to the session again. And we were incredibly surprised when we had more than 1,000 participants. I called Isolina and said, well, how are we going to meet the needs of 1,000 people who have registered? You do not see all of them, obviously. You see 300, 400 participants, but the 1,000 people come back, they send us feedback, and they go and listen to the recordings again. And we've never gone under 1,000 anymore. We have reached 1,400, 1,500 participants, which means that we really do meet people's expectations. And it is a specificity, and that brings me back to the panel members. Our visibility has increased the visibility of SMEs and entrepreneurs in the overall world. And I gave you the example of someone who took part in the second or third session and who was granted the Africa Fruit Prize recently. And that is thanks to the visibility that those sessions conveyed to the activities. And these sessions is a display of innovation, of success stories. And PAFO obviously works a lot on market access, access to funds, access to production means. During the whole of the COVID, we've been trying to determine how to help farmers overcome the obstacles created by COVID. And innovation showed the potential that there is in Africa. How can we draw bridges between Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific countries is a question. And I've seen on the chat earlier on people from the Caribbean, from the Pacific region, posting observations and remarks. So this is something that is the result of the partnership between PAFO and COLEACP. It is also the result of the ACP's countries. And one of the major projects that has been launched at continental level is being funded by the European Union on the ACP funds. So I think that we've reached a certain visibility, and I wish you much courage indeed. I will, of course, follow and attend the next sessions wherever I am, whatever job I've taken up, whatever organization I'm working with. Someone very briefly touched upon the partnership action plan, the action plan of the partnership between PAFO and COLEACP. We have planned B2B meetings, B2B events, encounters that enable businesses to strengthen their links, to develop their activities. The first step was this innovation series because the contacts are being made, and that's great. We are indeed going to organize these B2B encounters. I hope so, at least. We have the capacity to organize them. Of course, we went through the lockdown period during which it was absolutely impossible to organize business encounters, and business meetings cannot be organized virtually. But that will become a reality. And the next session will be held on the 20th of January 22, i.e. tomorrow, and that will start the second year of these innovation sessions. They are always held at the same time. I wish you good luck to all of you, and I'd like to very warmly congratulate the PAFO and COLEACP technical teams, because as usual the communication was excellent. You are champions at communication. Axel, Jeremy, Steph. I would also like to thank Tom, Mohamed, the whole technical teams, and I hope I do not forget anyone. And I cannot conclude without congratulating and thanking Isolina very warmly.
Thank you very much to all. Fatma, we wish you the very best. We know that you will be around anyway. You would be obliged to follow the innovation sessions you launch with us. I mean, you will have no choice and other activities, because I'm sure that you will be around. We will share all the, again, all the information, and we will follow up on the questions you have put now in the chat, which don't have all an answer, but we will link you or provide from COLEACP, PAFO, or others the answers as well. Thank you very much for this great first year, and for this session. See you next year, and all the best to you all. And I see that many Africans follow as well sessions we do in the Caribbean and vice versa. So I think this is a great opportunity. So Willi, anytime you need entrepreneurs for the African platforms, you know where we are. Thank you very much to all of you. Bye bye. Keep well.
Thank you.
Fatma,
Goodbye.
bonne chance pour la suite.
Thank you. Merci. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Merci beaucoup. Hein.